Thank you, Madam Speaker Pro Tem. Members, I rise in strong opposition to this bill. Not for some wonky policy issue. We could discuss the process at length and how we started off this session saying things were going to be fast, friendly, and free, and how this was rushed through in a time when people couldn't actively come up here and lobby their legislators and make their voices heard. But I rise in opposition. I rise in opposition for that family with young children that took a risk, that sold their home, moved into a tiny apartment to start a small business, to start something that they could call their own, something that they could be proud of. That family that sacrificed, lived off of pennies, fed their kids basically rice and beans and noodles till they could finally get their business to a point where it was starting to take off. It was finally starting to blossom. Things looked good in February of 2020 this year. The future looked bright for a lot of those businesses. And finally, those families were going, it's all this blood, sweat, and tears and sacrifice, it's finally starting to pay off. And then, boom, the government comes in and shuts them down. By and large, most of those businesses start off saying, you know what, we're going to do our part. Remember that? Hashtag doing my part, CO? That's what they did. They said, we're going to do our part. We're going to shut down. We're going to close down for a little bit. It's going to be 2 weeks. So they went from a bright, shining light to what they saw was a tunnel with a light at the end that they could kind of see. And then what does the government do? They add to that tunnel, and that light gets dimmer and dimmer. Oh, now we're going to go on 30 days, now 60 days. Some, at their wits' end, said, we're about to go bankrupt. I'm not going to be able to feed my kids. I'm going to reopen. And the state came in and sent the Attorney General after them with cease and desist letters, destroying their livelihoods, punishing them while the others are reopening, still not allowing them to reopen. So they went from this bright light, years and years of blood, sweat, and tears, and sacrifice, to that light practically being shut. And finally, we're getting to a point. Remember, flatten the curve, flatten the curve, flatten the curve? We flattened the curve, and now the curve's practically done. We have protests going on, and we're still not seeing that curve spike in a major way. And they're going, gosh, we can finally start to get back to business and get back to a point, hopefully we'll get back to a point we were in February, where the future looked bright. The future looks so bright in February, we're about to get back there. And the legislature's reconvening, but we're hearing positive words because things are going to be fast, friendly, and free. To 4 days ago, bills like this dropping down.
I'm sorry, Mr. Minority Leader. It's getting loud in here. Can we please lower the tone? Please continue.
4 days ago, bills like this that dropped down. And that little dimmer of light that they had, that hope that they had, is squashed, and now they're in darkness. Just like Representative Bockenfeld said. What does that do to them? We should be doing the exact opposite of bills like this. We're saying that we're doing this somehow to fund education, but that is not, I don't believe that is the truth. As we've seen before, money comes in, we say, oh, we funded education, and we take it out the back door, just like Representative Wilson said, and fund something else. That's a Hobson's choice. And it's not, quite frankly, a choice between A and B, because we had option C. We had over $700 million in budget amendments that we added that were totally rejected in this chamber. There are other options out there to fund education adequately. Ladies and gentlemen, these people that we've discussed, they're true families with true employees. And what they've done is they said, you know what? The state needs some lifeblood, and you know what? I'll offer my vein. I'll offer my vein, and I'll give some lifeblood. And they gave blood. And then the state took more blood. And the state took more blood. And now you're about to drip them dry and empty the last bit of blood they have to give. And you know what that's going to do when they fail? In the future, there's not going to be extra money because our economy is going to be in the tanks. There's not going to be any extra money for those kids in education. It's a popular phrase, but that's what Representative Ransom was talking about when she says, we killed the golden goose, or we killed the goose that laid the golden egg. That's exactly what she's talking about. You're about to destroy the people that actually provide jobs, that actually provide for this economy, that actually ends up paying the taxes, that provide for our children's education. Our citizens have gone through hell this year. Do not take away their hope by passing bills like this that will ensure the destruction of their businesses, their livelihood, their pride, the symbolism of everything that they've sacrificed for. Vote no on this bill.